It's simply a marketplace where you have buyers and sellers of stocks or shares. And the thing that we are buying and selling here are portions of companies, basically. The reason people do this is because they're effectively using it as a means typically of investment or trading in order to hopefully benefit from the price movements in the shares, which then in turn, at least over the long term, will reflect the actual value of those companies. Normally you buy shares, and when you buy shares, you benefit if the share price goes up. You lose basically if the share price goes down. Shorting is basically the opposite. What you're doing when you short stock is basically you take a position such that you benefit when the share price goes down. What that involves is borrowing some shares, selling them at the current price, waiting for the price to go down, and then buying back shares at the lower price, and then basically returning what you borrowed, and then you've got a fat profit in between, if the shares have declined significantly. So GameStop is a company, it's an American company that basically trades in like video games and some other related sort of things. It's been struggling of late because it hasn't managed to make this kind of shift online, and especially obviously as we've seen, especially in the last year, a lot of companies that have failed to do that have definitely struggled, gone under, made redundancies, etc. In the Reddit community, which is obviously, as we know, like a effectively social media platform, there was this whole movement to now almost, partly sort of fight back against what was seen as maybe the Wall Street, like powerful, if you like, shorting their stock, to now buy up loads of stock, sending the price upwards, and therefore causing those who had shorted the stock to now be starting to lose a lot of money. From an Islamic finance perspective, this is considered typically a problematic kind of thing, not only because you're selling what you don't own because you've borrowed it, but also because it's profiting off the misery of companies, basically. So in the real world, like a company's actually failing, but now you've got people making a lot of money off the back of the failure of this particular company. Experts in Islamic finance and these kinds of things like definitely are promoting more and more the idea nowadays of the fact that, look, markets need a more of a moral compass, a conscience. What are longer term macro kind of solutions to this kind of situation? And that's why we spoke of this idea of a wealth tax, which is, slowly over the recent years, especially been gaining a lot more currency, I think, in terms of, it's been a lot more talked about as a potential way forward, and is reflective of the principle of zakat, which is a core pillar of Islam. And, effectively zakat in today's terminology is effectively, something like a wealth tax. It's hard sometimes to translate these terms, but if you were to apply zakat at macro level, that's basically what you would be talking about. In zakat terms, right, we're talking about 2.5%, when we pay each year, and people get, sometimes kind of a bit sort of stressed out about it, but they forget that they're retaining 97.5%. Even small changes like that, 2%, the wealth that's in the hands of the rich, if constantly redistributed, would solve most of the world's problems, to be honest.